Hey everyone, welcome to Uncovering the Litanies. I'm your host Luke Evans.
And I am your co-host, Nick Lorenzo.
Today we're doing a Lent bonus episode because Lent is coming so freaking fast.
And we are your spiritual authorities. I would be very afraid if that was...
I feel like...
Please don't listen to us.
Right. I feel like Lent is coming way too fast and the year is just progressing way too fast. Do you feel like that? Or is that just me?
Well...
I feel like it's just like... January.
It definitely has gone by super quick.
I mean, we're already a couple days into March.
I know.
It feels too fast.
Yeah, I really want it. I'm excited because I just in my senior year and I want to leave and go to Ireland.
True.
Yeah. I will be fundraising for that. I need to raise almost $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So if any of you guys want to give me money, email me at uncoveringthelitanies@gmail.com.
Actually, all those emails go to me.
Yeah, but you can just send them to me. Forward. Just the subject is like, here is my money.
Right.
No, don't actually. Unless you don't know me personally, because I'll probably send you a letter. But if you're like, I don't know you, but I like you, and I want to give you money, then that's chill.
Sounds weird.
That's chill.
Oh,
yeah, it does sound weird.
So, Lent's coming up any day now on Wednesday. Ash Wednesday. What are you giving?
Any day now. On Wednesday.
Right. So what are you giving? You're doing Exodus 90, right?
I am.
How's that been going?
It's been going good. I lost a significant amount of weight, so my parents actually asked me to stop doing the food fasts.
Gotcha.
So I am no longer fasting on Wednesdays and Fridays, and I'm no longer snacking no longer not snacking in between meals.
Mm-hmm.
But that's definitely given me some thought as like, okay, I can't do this.
Right.
Because I have to honor my mother and father, but what is something that I can do to still mortify my flesh?
Mm-hmm.
I think this Lent, I'm going to, first of all, give up audiobooks and podcasts completely. Because they're just been a burden.
Right.
And they're keeping me from God.
Mm-hmm. What would you say, like, Pints with Aquinas or something would you say that's leading you? Or?
I think personally it is leading me away from God. Okay. Just because it's interfering with my vocation as, first of all, like a child of my parents, because like I'm listening to audiobooks and not doing like Pints with Aquinas and I'm not doing my responsibilities, or I'm listening to Pints with Aquinas and I'm not doing my schoolwork, because like even though technically it is religious, like it's still sort of drawing me away. But then other than that, I think I'm going to sleep on the floor.
Sick.
And I don't know. I still have to think more about it. What about you?
I think I'm doing cold showers.
Brutal.
Yeah, I feel like because, it's always nice to have a nice warm shower. I mean, no, not warm shower. Rephrase it. Hot shower.
Yeah.
After like a nice long day and just relax. That's like my time to just relax. But yeah, but I also find myself taking too long of a shower. So
yeah. Hey, fair enough.
Yeah. So I did cold showers either last year or the year before that, and I felt like I really conserved my time that I would have been taking a shower then. And also, those showers are like minutes long, if even. So I get all my soap in my hair and stuff, and then I just
go under,
put my head under, I say Hail Mary or something, so I don't so I'm not thinking of it, but also,
we do that for Exodus 90 as well, and it's definitely difficult. Like, it's totally an act of, because it's so voluntary.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, it's interesting because it's more of a positive action than a negative action. Like, you're not giving something up, you're doing something.
Right. And it's actually good for you.
It is, apparently. Yeah. But it just sucks. Like, you just have to, like, chest first, just like.
But I feel like every time when you're about to get in, you're like, my stomach's like, oh, come on, why this again? But
yeah,
I do it.
And it's also valuable to have that as like, because probably there's going to be a lot of times if you join the military or you do anything, you know, like stuff like that, like you're going to have to take cold showers. So,
yeah.
I want you to go on a rant, Luke, about, because I have a thing for Lent. Mm-hmm. I have a proposition, and you should defeat it. Okay. Lent is about self-improvement. What do you think?
Well, I'd say Lent is, well, I guess, would you say in both ways, like, you're benefiting yourself, but it's not all about benefiting yourself. It's about sacrificing. It's not like some saints whip themselves for Lent or something weird.
Well, like, let me rephrase it.
Okay.
Let's say someone comes up to you and says, who is like maybe a cultural Catholic, they don't really care about their faith, and they say, this year for Lent, I'm giving up sugar, and I'm going to do an exercise program and stuff like that because, you know, I just want to come out of the other side being disciplined and fit and whatever, like, and healthy. Like, what would you say to that person?
So they're not actually taking any spiritual benefit from it. It's just themselves.
Right, yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, you have to have a connection with God also. You need to have like 3 pillars of Lent, like prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. You have to have all 3 of those. It's not just for yourself. It's sacrificing, you know. It's not this time of year that it's, well, this is just for benefiting myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I feel like I hear a lot of people saying, oh, this Lent I'm going to do an exercise program or give up sugar or things like that. And then I'm like,
although that's good for you, it's not like,
right, it is good for you, but then sometimes I'll like, I forget who I talked to, but I was like, oh, you know, this year for Lent I'm giving up, it was like some sort of food, like maybe I said I was doing meat or something, which I never ended up doing. My Lents in the past few years have been pretty unsuccessful, but the past couple of years they've been good. And they're like, well, that's not healthy for you. And I was like, but why? Why does it have to be healthy? You know, like, why is it? It's not about health. It's not about doing that. But go ahead. Sorry.
Something that, you know, a big, almost not necessarily a debate during Lent, but kinda, is giving, whether to give up or not give up things on Sundays. What's your stance on that?
I just had a really funny conversation with Zach the other day because for Exodus 90, you're supposed to give up one of your, or like relax one of your fasts on Sunday.
Yeah.
But you have like 30, so and you're only giving up one.
Well, can you give up? I'm assuming you can't give up any form of prayer. Like,
well, that's dumb. I mean, I suppose you could, but that's not really the point. It's like, you know, but but I never do that. I always give up like at least 8 fasts on Sunday. And he goes, but aren't you supposed to give up one? I said, well, you know, it's just the resurrection of Jesus Christ is just really important to my faith. So, I was like, I'm more of a resurrection guy. Like, if you're more of like, I don't know, a loaves and fishes guy, like that's fine. But the resurrection is more important to me. But we're just joking with each other.
Right.
But it's funny. All throughout my life, it's always been a tradition in my family to give up or to like relax your fasts on Sundays.
Yeah, I definitely see good in both sides for different reasons, I'd say. But when it comes to giving up things or like not, or like relaxing on Sundays, I'd say, you know, this is voluntary. You don't have to give up. Like, it's not something in church teaching that you have to give up something for Lent.
Right.
What can be, you know, what is taken up can also be
put down.
Yeah, put down.
Yeah,
but I would also say that. I mean, I don't.
You don't relax your fast.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, and it's fine if you do it. I'm just kidding. I feel like it's 46 days, right? 46 straight. I feel like taking breaks in between is almost like...
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can be anti-Catholic, Luke. That's totally...
Right.
I'm just messing with you. Well, I mean, honestly, it just depends on... I would say know yourself, and...
I mean, either way, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. For me, I think the reason, like... I'm not saying, like, me giving up all of my fasts on Sundays, right? That's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because when you are fasting and you have a relax in the midst of your fast, then you feel it and you're grateful for it. And you make it intentional. The thing is all about, like, intentionality and knowing yourself, because let's say you are doing cold showers for Lent. And you say, on this Sunday, I'm going to give up... I'm going to relax my fast. I'm going to take a hot shower. And then the next day, you're like,
yeah,
I already broke my streak. Technically, it's not sinful to break your fast, which is true. It's not. If all fasts, if you break your fast during Lent, that's not a sin. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Besides just you're weak.
But you got to get back into it.
I know, right? And so if that's going to be a burden on you, like it's like going. If you know yourself and you know you're gonna like. Just not really care about your fasts after breaking it on Sundays.
And it's like, well, I did it.
Yeah,
it's a good hot shower yesterday, so why not just one more? And then
yeah, sure. And then it
grows.
Yeah, tumbles down into taking hot showers every day.
Right.
So that's not good. But if you're in a place like, and this is why I love what Exodus 90 does, is because, let's say you start off the day like any other day. You take a cold shower. You eat breakfast and you're not snacking or whatever, but then with dinner you have a soda. Yeah. Like that's like, it's like you can feel that and you're like, I'm so grateful for it. And like it's like, but when you do relax all of your fast, the reason why I said it's a bad thing is because if you relax all your fasts on Sunday, what happens is you end up getting into this like super sluggish behavior where you're just like, and like you're doing everything. You're just snacking in between meals, you are, eating sweets, you're drinking soda, you're watching TikTok on your phone, like doing all the things that Exodus 90 says, like no unnecessary phone use, no like cold showers, no snacking, no sweets, no soda. So it's like that stuff, like once you get in that cycle, it stops becoming a thing where you're like, oh, I'm so grateful for this. It just becomes I'm letting everything loose, and that's not what breaking your fast is,
Something that I feel like something that is a good fast, but also a lot of people look down on it, is giving up candy. Because I feel like people look at it as like, oh, this little giving up candy or giving up sweets or whatever, but something I just saw the other day was Blessed Pierre Forsati, or Giorgio Forsati, gave up candy. So
yeah,
I feel like that's an acceptable one because he's going to be canonized.
That's true. That's
soon.
And everything
this year.
Yeah, everything that he does was not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean it's good. I just, for people who are like, what do I need to give up for Lent? If there's a really easy test. Look in your life and find out and look at the things that you say to yourself, well, I couldn't live without this. Like I'll give a few examples, and like if you're listening right now, think about this and say, could I live without this?
Right.
Sleeping in your bed every night, taking a hot shower, snacking in between meals, eating sweets, drinking soda.
I got a good one.
Yeah.
The people that bike on the roads, you could give up that for Lent. I feel like that's a big annoyance, and you could save yourself and many other people.
That's so true.
I don't know if you've face that much because you just got your
did.
license. But
it's a little frustrating. But I mean, they're getting exercise. It's probably
that we got a bike trail right next door. Like
that's true. Well, maybe they're going places. You never know.
What do you mean?
Like maybe they're biking to work.
I don't know.
Luke disapproves.
I disapprove 100%.
But yeah, but just think about those things, and then if you're like, I could never take a cold shower, and I'm not talking lukewarm, I'm talking
cold,
all the way cold,
manly.
Yeah. Could you live without that? And if you're saying no way, I could never live without that, then that is exactly what you need to give up,
right? Because
the goal is to come to a place where you can live without everything except for Christ. Like that's what fasting is for.
Yeah. What about food? You couldn't live without that? Would you say?
Yeah, I mean that's like
Exodus 90, they say fasting small amounts on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Wednesdays and Fridays, you just fast like every other Ash Wednesday and Good Friday.
Yeah.
One regular size meal, 2 small meals that together don't equal a full meal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's good. I was definitely a little upset when my parents talked to me and said, "Hey, we don't want you to fast anymore." That was definitely sort of like, I wanted to go 100% for the whole thing.
Right.
But what was good about it was that I did know I can live without food. I can eat barely anything, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it actually and I'm in a better place spiritually when I don't do that, or when I do that. So,
what are the ages recommended for Exodus 90?
So 18 and up is
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you can join. We're not sponsored by Exodus 90. But you can join Exodus 90 on this Ash Wednesday, and you can do Exodus 40 for Lent.
Is that something that they do?
Yeah, they do that. And
gotcha.
There's going to be slightly different meditations for people who do that and things like that, but it's still good. And if that's something you're interested in, if you were 18 and up, then go for it. Super good. I love it. I'm loving it so far.
Nice. What are some things that you've done past Lent? Like, what do you think is the hardest thing other than Exodus 90 that you've done past?
Honestly, I think it was actually Advent.
Oh.
Because Advent is traditionally a time of fasting and prayer, just like Lent is.
Right.
And
well, would you say to the extreme?
What?
Would the fasting on?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's a specific you're supposed to fast 100% or you're supposed to fast 50% or something like that.
Right. I mean, it varies depending on what person.
And I don't know. But really, I've only begun really to take my spiritual life seriously, for the past year and a half. Really, before I moved here, I really didn't live the way that Christ wanted me to. So it wasn't really, I really can't look back on past Lents and be like, oh, I did this, True. I maybe made it a couple weeks with most of my fasts and then just gave up.
Yeah. Something that we used to do, I mean, I guess we still do it, but have you ever seen the bean jar? The sacrifice bean jar?
I feel like I have, but tell me about it.
There's 2 jars. One's filled up the whole way with beans, just hard beans.
Yeah.
Every time you do a sacrifice, you're supposed to put a bean in the other jar, and then you're trying to get to the other side, And then our parents fill it up with jelly beans at the end, which is also a delight.
Yeah, and then you can have jelly beans. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Definitely it'd be hard to sort of maintain humility in that, as an adult.
True, yeah.
Maybe when you're a kid, it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I was just saying that's something that we used to do, and we'll probably still do it for the younger kids.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, just going back to that, hardest fast I've ever done, probably. I did cold showers and sleeping on the floor for Advent one year.
Wasn't that this year?
Yeah. That was this year. This was this Advent. Before that, I think I tried no snacking in between meals on last Lent?
I tried that maybe two Lents ago.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's always times that are like on a normal day it would be like, I don't want a snack. But then I feel like Lent always brings out, the whatever you're giving up, you want it.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I recommend no snacking in between meals for everybody all of the time.
Right.
Because I had been doing that for, the past month or so without exit, and it was so good for me. Like on a just physical level, not snacking in between meals, it is like so good for everybody. Just because you don't get, like, if you're snacking in between meals, you eat breakfast in the beginning. Maybe you're hungry when you wake up. But then you're like snacking all morning, and then it comes to lunch and you're barely hungry, but you're like, I'll still eat something.
Right.
You're snacking in the afternoon, you're not even hungry during dinner. And it's just like the whole day is this continuous consumption of food, and you just feel like,
Imagine seeing all the food that you eat, like extra food you don't want to eat. Or like at the end of your life, you see all the times you snacked, you're not even really hungry, but you snacked. Like, that'd be kind of disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's gluttony right there. Right. So I just because when you don't snack between meals, I mean, it just makes the meal so much better.
I know.
Like you're like lunch and dinner, like not having done that, you're like so hungry. You're like, I can't wait to get into this.
Yeah. I feel like the time between breakfast and lunch isn't like...
Yeah, you're never hungry.
Right. But
the only time I'm ever hungry is like 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's horrible.
I know.
But just push through it. And
right.
Yeah.
3 more hours. 2 more hours.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's just really, really healthy, really good spiritually. I think it's. I would recommend it for everybody all the time, not just during Lent and Advent.
I mean, most of these fasts, they're just good to like continue on after.
Definitely. And and that's why you don't give up things that you like. Like, I feel like there's 2 schools of thought around Lent. There's like, give up sin,
right?
And then the other one's like, give up something that you really enjoy,
right?
And that, which
you could give up both.
Right. I mean, the point is that you should always be giving up sin. I think Father John Paul did a homily about this one year. It was super good. But one of the things he said when he was talking about what he was giving up for, and I'm sure he gave up a million things and he was just being humble, but he only talked about one, which was he gave up Dunkin' Donuts cappuccinos.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he's like, but it was so funny the way he talked about it, because he's like, man, at the end of the day, I've been working so hard. Right. All I want is to go out and get a cappuccino from Dunkin' Donuts, and it just makes my day.
Right.
And it like is my soothing thing at the end of a hard day. And he's like, that's exactly what I need to give up. Because it's this like idol that I have, and
I don't need this. I don't need to spend my money on this. Like, it's a
you
delight.
You actually don't need it.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, there's also the side that's like, I'm going to give up, purposely trying to annoy my siblings or, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
Like even...
Yeah, I mean, I would just, again, say, just, you should be trying to give up those all of the time. Like, that's the goal. And fasting and prayer and almsgiving, that's your method. That's how you get there. But it's not like, it's not about that. It's like the goal is to always be getting closer to God, and fasting and prayer and almsgiving, those are the methods that, the tools that you use to get there.
What would you say to somebody that struggles with some big sin, like pornography or something, and they're giving that up for Lent, and then would you tell them, no, push it and do something else that you enjoy? Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean, like if they're really struggling with that and they want to give that up for Lent, but this is a really hard addiction for them or something.
Right. So pornography is a difficult issue. The first thing
I know. Is it Jason Everett has a couple of books on that?
Yeah, he has great.
Not books. Like 40 days or 33 days.
So first of all, if you are actively struggling with that, I would go to strive21.com or I think they have an app. But I would first do Strive it's Matt Fradd's version of the 33-day program he did with Jason Everett.
Right.
It's more condensed and it's easier to access. Definitely a little more polished, but I would definitely recommend if you are struggling with that, the first thing to do is to go to strive21.com and look at that. And I would.
That's completely free. I think.
Yes, it's completely free. They do recommend hey, you should probably get Covenant Eyes, and there's a 14-day free trial or something.
Right.
Covenant Eyes is good if you are if your phone is unlocked or whatever and you don't have any controls on it. Definitely go get Covenant Eyes. So set up a partner, but that's one thing. But if let's say you're struggling, the reason why I hesitate to say give that up for Lent. Is specifically because of Lent is supposed to be voluntarily giving up things that aren't in themselves bad, but they are keeping you from a higher good, which is God. So it's not sinful to break your fasts. In that case, if you are, in quotes, fasting from pornography,
right,
then
shouldn't be fasting or giving it up on the weekends,
right? And then and I've heard stories of guys who say, I'm going to give up pornography for Lent, and then it's a week before Lent, and they're like, well, might as well splurge to get it all out of my system before I start Lent, and that is
right.
And that completely wrecked them. And then they...
And that just wrecks your Lent, too.
Well, it wrecks you... Well, right. So it totally, completely damaged them and got them in a place where they were actually not ready for Lent, not ready to give up things. So, let's say today, some guy's listening to this who says, I want to give up pornography for Lent. No. Give that up now. Go to strive21.com. Pornography is not a thing that's okay that you're gonna fast for Lent, so don't do that. Just give it up right now, and then use those tools of fasting and prayer and almsgiving to keep you away from it. Matt Fradd, I know he said this, he might have quoted it from someone else, but he talks about that and he says, how are you going to give up pornography if you can't resist eating that second cupcake after dinner?
Right.
So if you're in a place where you're I can't not snack between meals, or I can't take a cold shower or something like that, then you're not going to be in a place where you're going to be able to give up a highly addictive substance, whether that be pornography, whether it be drugs, things like that. That's you're not. That's will be impossible for you. If you can't give up the small things, you won't be able to give up the big things.
Right. I know I find a lot of times that when you take on a fast, say cold showers, or I guess fasting from hot showers.
Sure.
I feel like on a normal summer day, I wouldn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to take a cold shower." That doesn't really, you're thinking what am I benefiting from this? I feel like when it comes to Lent or something, and you have this streak, you have this streak. I feel like it becomes more of a
mission.
I don't want to. I don't want to break this streak. I want to make it all 40, 46 days.
Yeah.
Without, and it's something you actually.
It's intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
Or especially, when you get out of the confessional or something, you make it I'm going to I'm going to see this, starting this day, don't sin. You feel like you want to bug this person, or you want to, do something, but it's like, no, I just came out of the confessional, and then start, you want to.
Yeah, it's intentional.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last thing I would say about fasting, because I want to move on to prayer and almsgiving.
Yeah.
Is just, like, pick that thing that you love, that is like your special treat,
right?
And something that makes your life easier, all that stuff, but you really don't need, and give that up. But also, it's all about intentionality. It's all about looking at your, it's about looking at your life and you saying, oh, this is like, what are my burdens? What are my idols? I need to take these away from your life. Take these, away from my life, and yeah, I mean, I would definitely warn against getting that like sort of streak mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, it's good, but it's not about like going the whole 40 days.
Right.
It's about it's because that's the thing about fasting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for Lent. Fasting is something that we should all be doing all the time. Right. Fasting is like the Sisters of Charity, or Missionaries for Charity, two very different organizations. Apparently one's a little weird and liberal, but then one's like super awesome. Oh. But the super awesome one, I know some people who've spent some time with them, and whenever there's like a cleanup or a job that no one else wants to do, like some homeless man throws up on the floor of the soup kitchen, they all rush to clean it up. And they're all first in line and say, no, I got it. No, I got it. No, I seriously. Like, they are rushing to it because no one else wants to do it. And it's so disgusting. But they are so joyfully doing it. And they're like, they would never let anyone do it for them. Like, they would want to,
Good for them.
Yeah, right. Super, super cool. And so what are, like, it's looking like it's a lifetime thing, fasting. Mm-hmm. If you're not, but it's not about all these big things like, oh, I'm going to give up meat, or I'm going to give up sweets or coffee or whatever. Like, it's about the small things. Like, what's something that, like, an example I could use. We're all sitting at dinner, and there's 6 chicken thighs for 6 people. And there's that one with, like, all that crispy skin and, like, extra seasoning. Yeah, like, it looks so good. Right. And then you take that and you put it on your sister's plate. And then there's that one that, like, there's no skin on it or whatever. It's like sort of dry looking, and you take that and you put it on your plate.
Right.
Like, it's the little ways, like, take that piece of food that no one else, that's like the least desirable, but it's still food. It's still so good.
Right.
And
so at the end of the day, at the end of your life, what's that going to do for you?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's definitely about having priorities and prioritizing what am I going to look back on? Like, I'm not going to look back in purgatory and be like, man, I'm glad I got that extra good piece of chicken. Right. Like, you're going to look back on being like, oh, I sacrificed that for my sister, and that was, that's a good thing. So,
yeah. So, prayer. I feel like this is definitely a difficult... I'd say it's more of a thing. Like, when you think of Lent, when most people think of Lent, they think of, I feel like the secular Lent is giving things up. And they don't see, prayer and almsgiving. Like, they don't...
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I feel like, like, Lent just is the fasting, and people kind of forget about prayer and almsgiving. So, yeah, I definitely want to talk about, what you can do for Lent. So, something that... I feel like a lot of this stuff is like, say a rosary every day or something. It's like, Mary already told you to say a rosary every day. Like, I know, like, what would you say? We're already supposed to be saying a rosary every day. A lot of people don't say a rosary every day. When it comes, like you're saying, you should already be giving up those sins or something. If you're already, like, should you already be praying a rosary and then I'm going to be doing the Divine Mercy Chaplet, or I'm going to go to daily mass every day, or,
Yeah, I mean, I've recently been really having sort of a transformation in the way that I view prayer and like what's good for you. Mm-hmm. Like rote prayer is so good.
Yeah.
And praying the rosary every day, it's not only like some people is like, well, one good Hail Mary is better than a bad rosary. Like, that's not true.
Right.
Our Lady didn't say pray a Hail Mary. She said pray a rosary.
Right.
And the words are so powerful that even if you don't mean them, even if you're tired, even if you're driving, they will still affect you. And they will still, and you're still begging Mary, pray for me now and at the hour of my death. You know, like you're
still disgusting Satan.
Yeah. So, and you know, when you say the Our Father, you are casting away demons. Like that's
Right.
But rote prayer is good, but I would, like something that the net missionaries do in the United States, they have this thing called the P.R.A.Y method, and they teach it to all their middle schoolers and high schoolers, and it's sort of gimmicky. Like I'm not a huge fan for like, oh, those acronyms like P.R.A.Y. Right. But honestly, like this, like having that, like the acronyms are actually really helpful.
Yeah.
So, and there's our praise, reflect, ask, and yield. So like first thank God for everything. The way that I do it is I think to myself, if I was naked in the woods right now, what would I want most? And what would I be thankful for? So probably clothes first, and then shelter, and then warmth, and then food and water, and then a family, and then good books, and then a wife, and then children, and like these are all the things that I would want, and so not in that order. Do not quote me on that. Good books, then a wife, but just like actually taking real time. I think what we need to do this Lent especially is just make some time for prayer that's good conversation, where you just sit down and you just ask God and say, this is everything I want and need right now. And you have to remember there's nothing too small or too big for God. So asking him to find your earbuds, or you really want a cookie, like that's fine. That's good to ask him, and he loves you hearing that.
Yeah.
And he also loves to hear you say, can you please stop my grandmother from dying of cancer? And nothing is too big, nothing is too small, nothing is too medium-sized for God. Like everything, ask of him everything you want and need. And then that yield part is, like P.R.A.Y. So praise and then reflect, which is like picking a part of scripture, reading it, journaling maybe, really taking that and thinking about it, finding a line that stands out to you. But then, ask and then yield is the end, which is just like, God, I've asked you so much I've asked for you so much today, but I'm just going to give my entire self to you. Everything that I am, everything that I do, everything I want, desire, it's all yours. And do with me what you want me to do with me what you want, because I know your plan is better than mine.
Right.
So having that sincere conversation, and I try to do an hour every day. I miserably fail at it all the time. But if you can't do that, then set aside 20 minutes, because 20, that's great. But honestly,
and a lot of times, they think, even with those like yield or not yield, the prayer, the P.R.A.Y. acronym, 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not a lot. Set 5 minutes for the P's, 5 minutes for the R. A.Y.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's good. And but honestly, I've learned that if you prioritize prayer in your life, you're going to find time for everything else. So if you're like, man, I can't do this. I have a crazy busy schedule. I couldn't set aside enough time for a holy hour.
Right.
Well, go do a holy hour, and you're going to find time to do that's because that's the most important thing in your life. And try to fit in the other stuff around that.
Right. I liked when you were talking about, thank God for everything, just the little things,
Yeah.
I know we were at alternate practice Saturday. It's like it was very windy, obviously, but Coach told me to, like he was explaining like what to do for the next drill, and he was just like, Luke, and he motioned to like, give me the disc, so I had to like throw it. I threw it to him, but it was very windy, and I chose to do a forehand, which I'm awful at in the wind.
Yeah.
I was like, crap, like, why did I do that? As I was like letting go. I was like, oh, and then it actually made it to like pretty good. I was like,
nice.
And I just like said a little prayer, like, oh, thank you, God. Yeah. Like, that could have been very embarrassing, like throwing
through, and it miserably fails.
Right, and it doesn't get to the coach, and it's like, oh, that's embarrassing in front of like 40 kids or whatever. But just like little things like that, thank God for it.
Definitely. So taking that time for earnest conversation with God every day will change your life. So, and I think an essential part of that is reading Scripture. If reading Scripture is not part of your prayer life, then I don't know what you're doing right now, man, with your life. Make sure you're reading the Bible every day. If you don't know where to start in the Gospel of Matthew and just go for it. Read a verse a day if that's what you can handle. Read a chapter a day if you can handle that much, something like that.
I really suggest going to daily mass.
100%.
We picked that up. Our family picked that up a couple weeks ago, but it's really, it's great, especially listening to the readings, and they all it's like reading a story, and you picked up from the last chapter, and it's like, oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
It's even the same Bible stories, but it's nice to hear them all in sync.
Yeah, it was so nice last week hearing all the Genesis stories and them all come in. It was every day. It was hilarious when I went to this Catholic family camp in Canada. We would do we had mass every day, and because it was such a small 30 people, and then the priest, he would pick up where he left off and give homilies, and he was connected all at the end. It was so good. Yeah, it was awesome.
Great. All right, you want to move on to almsgiving?
Yeah,
awesome.
I don't have a lot of experience with this.
Yeah.
In fact, I barely ever give alms. I'm really going to try to focus on that for Lent. But what do you do, Luke?
Do you know the Rose Garden?
I don't. Tell me about it.
So there's this group of sisters down. It's called the Rose Garden. But basically, that's where they collect a bunch of donations. But it's you send. It's almost like a big, Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul or something like that. So it's all of these things, and then people volunteer down there all year round, and the sisters are there, helping, and basically we give out, people donate whatever, it's not just a little trinket from a game or something. It's got to be it doesn't have to be in pristine condition or anything, but
it has
it's
to
just
be something that people need.
Right, yeah. Mittens or hats or whatever, toys, and but the sisters give those out to people who are short on money or something downtown Cincinnati or Kentucky or something. So you go and you can volunteer there for say an hour or 2 hours or whatever, and yeah, so you help them, bag up donations or sort donations, or they also do, I believe they do food down there, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, they do.
Cool.
So people, send canned goods or,
So are you saying that almsgiving can be more than just writing a paycheck to people?
True that, Nick.
Okay, nice.
I mean, it's just, giving alms and not necessarily money or cash or, there's this homeless guy on the side of the road, just give him cash, that's not all of almsgiving,
something
just
that's
helping
actually
out
bad,
right,
because we're gonna I have volunteered at soup kitchens before and stuff like that, and that's almsgiving. It's not just writing a paycheck to people.
Right.
One of the ways, sort of a fun, interactive way, if you want to, for Lent, although not all of your fasts have to be fun and interactive, is setting up a box in your room, and then every day taking something from your room and putting it in the box, and at the end of the 40 days, giving that all up.
Yeah.
Because the first few days will be easy. Oh, I never wear this sweater. I'll throw it. And then, and then by
day 30,
day 30, you're like...
I mean, even by day...
I know.
In the 15 to 20.
I sometimes wear this t-shirt. I think I look pretty good in it, but I don't wear it.
I know.
You're it gets to that point where...
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. One thing I would say, if you are interested in giving money, I would pick something that you already that has directly helped you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it could be whatever, but like this was important for me. Like maybe I was going to have an abortion and I went to this pregnancy. Donate to that pregnancy center.
Yeah.
Take something that you're passionate about, that you love, and give money to them because you know they helped you. So it's like, you know, help them help others.
Right. Or even, you know, to the church or to the sisters at the Rose Garden or, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah. Even I feel like, would you say going down to like the nursing home and cheering people
Oh,
up,
100%. You know, I'm not
giving alms.
Yeah, I don't know what the direct definition of, but you know, even if they're like that's almsgiving, I would say do that. You know, like giving your time or your money to do the things that you don't want to do. You know, like a good motto for almsgiving is just give until it hurts. You know, maybe it's fine to put $10 in.
Right.
But, you know, I remember especially as a kid, like, you know, putting like a $20 bill I just, you know, made or something into the basket. And I'm like,
kind of hurts. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many things you could have done with that. And you just chose to give it away, put it in a basket to who knows where. It's not going to benefit you.
Right. Never going to see it again.
So, yeah. So give until it hurts. Give until you're like, I really shouldn't, but I should. So
yeah. Even you could give your skills, like if you're really good at knitting hats or scarves or mittens or something, you could, you know,
Definitely.
buy supplies or something and then, you know, give those to.
Yeah, 100%. Alrighty.
Awesome.
Well, I hope everyone has a great Lent.
Yep.
And if any of this sounds crazy, feel free to disregard it.
Right. But if it helps you, please like, subscribe, and comment on this
Definitely.
episode and share.
100%. Well, thank you for joining me, Luke.
Yep. Thank you for joining me.
Of course. Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah, God bless.